What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the Converse Shai 001, Shai 1. And I honestly didn't know what to expect with these because I've seen other Converse shoes in the past, and kind of more minimalist style on some of them. So when I saw this one, kind of how beefy it looked, just on the internet, I was wondering, is this going to be a sheep in wolf's clothing? And it is definitely not. Even down to the shoelaces, you got some braiding in there, absolutely fantastic. These are really beefy laces, but the better stuff comes in the uppers. Now, number one, the tongue on these things, really, really thick. I had no lace irritation in these whatsoever. This is gonna be tough getting around this zipper. I knew this was gonna be tight. There we go. Zero lace irritation whatsoever on them. And all kind of stuff we gotta talk about with the shroud on these, with the zip up. Number one though, insole on these, just a pretty standard. This looks maybe Ortholite or Nike scrap, but nothing, pretty thin, pretty flimsy, nothing there. Going into the heel counter before I get into the shroud, the heel counter on these, you actually get a double external heel counter. You get like plastic or TPU up here, and then you also get plastic down here, TPU down there. And what I thought what that was gonna do was that was gonna cause issues with lockdown. I'm thinking, are you gonna be able to, to actually close this? Well, with the way the laces are configured, I knew this was gonna be tough to do. With the way the laces are configured, you really have no issues locking these down. I found heel slippage on these to be mild. Really, I mean, not bad at all. I actually had an 11 and an 11.5 in these. Converse was generous enough to send me these, so thank you for that. All opinions in the video is still my own. This is by no means sponsored. As always, I'm gonna tell you what I think. But even on the 11.5, I really had none to mild slippage on these. Nothing that I really noticed whatsoever, so that was really nice. On these, the heel counter internally is not one of those Nike double heel counters, because remember, Converse is part of Nike now. But the fact that you've got top-loaded external, bottom-loaded external, that goes all the way to the junction of the midfoot, you can see here on both sides. I mean, now you get a triple ankle collar, or triple heel counter, I should say. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, like I said, with the shroud on these things, I say the zipper on them, right? A lot of times, this can just be for window dressing. One thing I noticed with this is the zipper stays. Like, I had this zipped up. I wore these all day for 2 days. It never came down. So it does have a little bit of, memory to it there. It has a little sticking power there. But the one thing that I noticed that I loved was, number one, the tongue is gusseted, but it's also stitched. So you got the gusset, and then the gusset comes off of, make sure I have it overhead. So here's the gusset right here. And then you see this stitching going down from that shroud into the strobe board. So now everything is connected. And the laces tie into it up here. So you're actually tying that shroud down, and you're tying the internal booty of the shoe as well. So that's where the lockdown comes from. So the shroud's actually doing something in these. There's actually some really good engineering. Now, these do have quite a bit of what looks like breathing channels in the more distal tongue. Obviously, the top part of the tongue, the more proximal part, is just padded out the wazoo. But look at this on the breathability test, and obviously, no fog's coming out of this at all when the zipper is engaged. When you take the zipper down, fog does start coming out of the side, so you do get a lot more breathability. I mean, remember, there's padding over top. This is continuous backing over here. So obviously, these are not going to be the best shoes for breathability, of course. If you wear them open, a little more flexible of a shoe, so you actually are getting two different styles of shoe, more flexible, or when it's zipped up, a little bit more containing. So like I said, not window dressing, but if you want more breathability, you're gonna have to keep that down. Otherwise, I'd probably bring in 2 pairs of socks if you're gonna play in these in hot, humid conditions. All right, but getting into my favorite part of the Shai 1 is the midsole. Now look at it on the Teardown. You can see there are 2 different slabs of foam here, carrier then an internal. However, the internal foam, the durometer was 30.5, the carrier was, 30.5, the carrier was 29.5, so I think they're the same foam. On the microscope, they look identical. On the microscope, they both look like an injection molded EVA. They feel like an injection molded EVA on foot. Enough structure, it feels pretty stable, but also enough cushion, enough give. Now, the thing I like the most, though, is in the rear foot, you get a bottom-loaded plastic shank, and then in the midfoot, you get a sandwich shank in between both slabs of foam. So you're getting the really the best parts of a near, 3/4 length shank. We know that starts here and the rear foot goes in the midfoot, but you get some break points there, so you get enough flexibility in the shoe. Now, you look at this thing on the tensiometer, this didn't go till 45 degrees until I hit 61 newtons. So it took quite a bit of force to get it, to 45 degrees. Now, number one, that is the tension in the Zoom air unit here in the forefoot. Now, this Zoom air unit there is horizontally based, right? It's a little more narrow, and then it's longer going in the horizontal direction. I don't mind those because they cover the metatarsal heads. As long as you line up with the shoe okay, you're actually going to get a decent amount of protection and a decent amount of feelings of bounce underfoot. Look at it on the bounce height test, 33 centimeters in the rear foot, 44 in the forefoot. That's honestly just another reason I think it's injection molded EVA as the foam, just because that's usually how that operates. But I think, like I said, I think the best part of the midsole is that, number one, you get enough torsional stability. I mean, not where it's too stiff, but you get enough of it, right? You're just getting just enough give in there, and then you're getting an appropriate amount of bending in the shoe. While the rear foot stays nice and stable, the forefoot is actually allowed to have a little bit more play. Not a crazy amount, it's not unstable by any means, but with the uppers working with the midsole, to me, this right here, I think is one of the better uses of a dual foam EVA plus Zoom plus shank setup. It's got really the best of a lot of worlds without sacrificing too much. All right, but getting into what's probably the biggest question mark of the Shai one, that is the outsole tread. Now, this reminds me of a lot of Converse shoes, that kind of wavy check pattern. We got the waves going horizontal, then kind of just the break points going up there, more linear. Now, this is a full-length tread pattern. That is fantastic. Look at it on the grip test ramp. It does not slip until 42 degrees. So initial grip, static grip on these things, pretty good. And because the forefoot has just enough give in it, the rubber does bite in terms of a more dynamic grip. So that's good. I have had a lot of Converse shoes that do pick up dust over time. So that, I would say, is the biggest question mark, along with the durability. On the outsole durability test on these things, 10 seconds high grit sandpaper. Yeah, I mean, I got over 1 millimeter of damage on this. The durometer came in, I think, 19.2. So the durometer is not bad. I mean, it's hard. It's relatively hard rubber, but it's because the lines of tread here are so thin. There's just something stress shielding it. Now, remember, harder, tackier rubber, a little more, sharp rubber, you're going to get really good bite. But like I said, I have had some dust pick up Converse in the past, but everything I've seen in these points to really, really good, sharp grip. All right, but getting into the fit of the Shai one, number one, they have a 13-degree inflare, so pretty standard. They do come in a hair long, though, 29.1 centimeters for a men's size 11, 9.7 centimeters of metatarsal width, which is actually pretty standard. That's pretty middle of the road. And then you got 6.6 centimeters of toe box width, and then a toe box taper of 53 degrees. I will say I have been messing around with how I'm doing the toe box tapers on this, so until I say otherwise, I would kind of just take the actual number with a grain of salt. What I will say is it is a pretty standard toe box taper. If I was doing it like I previously did, it'd be around 27 or 28 degrees, so it's really nothing major. The toe box width actually is a little bit more roomy in the toe box than it looks from the shoe, which is nice. Like I said, the metatarsal width, normal 9.7 centimeters. So I'd say a narrow and medium foot, I think, can just go true to size. A 2E, want a roomier fit, or you want to throw an orthotic in there, just have a little more room, you can go up a half size. I mean, like I said, I did not feel like a clown shoe in these, up 1/2 size, so I think that's fine. 4E would be going up 1/2 size on these things. But just remember, because they are 17.72 ounces for a men's size 11, if you don't have to go up in size, you are going to get a little more weight reduction. So if you feel like doing some break-in, like I said, the inflare is mellow enough that I do think you can, and the materials are compliant enough that I think you can, but you're also fine going up to half size, like I said. In terms of injuries, people I'd be recommending these for, even though they don't have a crazy lateral flange, it is more of just a mellow forefoot. I mean, the flange, I mean, it's there. It's it outcrops here. It's wider there in the forefoot, so it's not unstable by any means. But in terms of someone looking for stability, because of the rear foot, the triple heel counter, the rear foot shank, the midfoot shank, I mean, these aren't going anywhere. I mean, they are stable shoes. Look at resting position of eversion, 0 degrees, they sit straight, and then 2 degrees loading, and that's all from the forefoot, right? That's just the forefoot rocking on the midfoot. So they're stable shoes. So I think if you're an ankle sprainer and want to get these, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Put it that way. It's not the first shoe I would recommend, but I definitely wouldn't bat an eye if somebody wanted to get these and was an ankle sprainer. In terms of heel pain or ball of foot pain, I think they're fine. You can get an orthotic into these too, because they lock down so well, so you can get an orthotic in them. So that's gonna be just fine as well. So I'd say heel pain, ball of foot pain, arch pain, because they do have a little bit of an arch there. It's pretty broad in there, but they got the 2 shanks holding it up, so that's really good. I don't really see these as bad for really anybody besides, I'd say, someone who's a very, very lightweight player, maybe some muscle weakness here or there, just because, like I said, the weight is a little bit up there, but you get a lot for the weight, right? It's kind of like a K-Swiss, the Ultra Shot 4 in the tennis space. Like, yeah, they're a little heavier, but look what you're getting for that weight. Really, in terms of, you know, an all-around product, especially for a first signature shoe, yeah, I was kind of surprised, especially given the Trilliant line, you know, the older Converse, not older, but last year's models. These ones just, yeah, beefed up in every way, and just a lot of thought, a lot of engineering in here, and not just rubbish on the shoe for embellishment and rubbish sake. Actually thoughtful touches in the shoe and things that actually make sense. So yeah, very good first signature shoe. I'm looking forward to the second already. Love to hear your thoughts though in the comments down below. We've been getting a lot of shoes recently. So if you do want to see what's going on with the Nike Freak 7, another like pleasant surprise in terms of like the foot doctor side of this channel. You might not like it like for the tech side, but you should just at least give it a look to see kind of where simplicity gets you. Whereas this is maximalism, maybe a little more minimalism. So make sure you check out that video right here. And I'll see you in that one.